You have, but I mean, there's a real lesson there for any business owner listening to this, is actually doing the unexpected, and ultimately putting the potential client's logo or an icon into one of your products that they haven't asked for and they're not expecting, just creates that little bit of a wow factor.
Yeah.
That if they are taking bids or tenders from 4, 5, 6 companies, you're top of the pile. It's yours to lose, isn't it? Hey everybody, it's John Lamberton here alongside my good friend and business partner, Mr. Jason Brockman. We are here for another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast, where as always, it is our job to help you get more customers and make more money without just working harder. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this month's episode. Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of the AOB podcast, and today's guest is just my perfect client. We have Steve West from the Pudding Compartment. Yes, a cake company. Now I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but I do enjoy a good cake, or a good pudding, or a good crumble, or a good tiramisu, or I am getting hungry now. I actually haven't had lunch yet. Anyway, Steve runs the Pudding Compartment, making delicious handcrafted cakes, biscuits, flapjacks, brownies, sticky toffee puddings, cookies, scones, you name it, all white labeled for businesses such as Virgin Trains and 2016 Apprentice winner Alana Spencer. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thank you very much, John. It's a pleasure to be here.
Do you know, I'm gutted that we're recording this over Zoom. Sorry, Jace?
It's you, just still drooling.
No. I mean, think if we were doing this face to face, the samples that we could be enjoying right now.
Yes, it's such a wasted opportunity, but there you go.
It is, but then again, who wants to hear me eat? So, it's not the best audio sound track for a podcast, really, is it? Cool. So, Steve, 2016 Apprentice winner Alana Spencer. I think that might have been the last season of The Apprentice I actually watched. I remember watching that. I remember Alana winning. How on earth did that come about for you?
Well, I actually got introduced to Alana before the series actually aired, so I found out a little bit about how it worked. Obviously, when I first met her, I had no idea which show. I got a good feeling. I got a feeling she was going to be on a show, but she said, that was kind of indicated through the conversations. But obviously, confidentiality was such that we didn't know exactly what she was going to be on. So I was kind of speculating, the different shows that were on TV. And it turned out to be. Then one night, actually, I was watching TV and The Apprentice came on, and I saw Alana's face on there. So I thought, okay, well, that's settled that side of things. So and by the time I met her the first time, I think they'd gone through to something like the semi-final. I only found this out afterwards. I think they were at like the semi-final sort of stage then. So it was that was quite an interesting customer to have, if you like, from in terms of how popular that program obviously is, and it's really interesting as well because she was basically really changing her business as a result of being on the show as well. Yeah. It was interesting to see that happen and to be part of it. And
from what I remember of that, I think Lord Sugar was worried that she'd succeeded from her kitchen, but how does this scale? I think that was his main worry or objection going into like the semi-final or the final, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. I think the decision to outsource the manufacturing of the product was, I think it might have been in the final presentation or it was very close to the end when that strategy emerged, if you like. So and I guess that's kind of where we fitted in, not straight away. Because when Alana came to see me the first time, we were actually really busy. We didn't have a lot of capacity, and I actually said, "Well, I don't think we can help you at the moment." So she went off, and then I saw her on TV, and then I thought, perhaps I should have had a different response in that meeting, particularly when she won. But soon after she won, we basically got in touch with each other again, and then. We took over the outsourced manufacturing for quite a while, and then not fairly recently, she's actually set up her own bakery. So I helped her a little bit setting up her own place. So we're not baking for her now, but she's got her own place in Aberystwyth. Yeah, but yeah, we're still in touch. So it's an interest. Yeah, so it's been quite a good learning curve for both of us, I think.
Did you have to give Lord Sugar a tour of the factory or anything like that?
No, I didn't see Lord Sugar. I only got one email from him, and that was when deadlines needed to be met, shall we say. He was encouraging us to help with some deadlines in the early stages. That's my only contact.
He didn't fire you then?
Sorry?
He didn't fire you then?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't fire us. No, definitely not. No. So, but I think they're still doing really well from what I understand. So, but yeah, that was interesting because obviously Alana was really transitioning in her business, and suddenly, I guess not many businesses have a situation where they get that much exposure, on national TV and go from something that's very small that could grow really quickly. Yeah, so that was really fascinating being part of that.
Yeah, because it almost was kitchen table to factory line, wasn't it? Overnight.
It was pretty much, yeah. So I think Alana was making, she had got like a smaller setup at home that she was using, and she was, I think prior to the show, she was making products. Obviously, she was making it all herself and selling it herself at events at the weekends and that kind of thing. And that was actually the model that she scaled up in the first instance, was to get a lot of other people selling her products at festivals and that kind of thing. So then later on, like a lot of businesses, she then started looking at the wholesale routes and things like that. So selling via like local convenience stores and that kind of thing, and motorway services and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's quite an interesting story. I'm sure it'll be interesting in all the apprentice winners. But yeah, it's I suppose to be that close to it to understand what was going on was really fascinating from my point of view.
Yeah, definitely. And the media spotlight and the scrutiny that she would have been under as a very, very small business to begin with, it's inconceivable. I mean, I remember watching a couple of years ago now, and it was towards the latter end of the show, and Lord Sugar was grilling one of the candidates about, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to actually market this business? How are you going to get anybody to be aware of this business? And I thought, well, the obvious answer is what I'm going to do, Lord Sugar, is I'm going to go on a BBC mainstream primetime television show. I'm going to be on there for 12 weeks, and then I'm going to partner with a high-profile businessman, and I'm going to leverage his PR contacts and the BBC's PR contacts to be on every television station, every radio station, and every newspaper for about 3 weeks after the event. Will that do?
I'm going to sell cake.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a really good answer. I'm sure that would have gone down well.
Yeah, basically, I'm going to use you.
Exactly, yeah. That's the whole power. I suppose it's a bit like Dragon's Den and things like that. A lot of the benefit for the business, I suppose, to get involved with those kind of things is the doors that their new partners can open for them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it might take an awful long time or never actually be able to be opened on your own, I guess, depending on how you go about things.
It is. I mean, I've chatted with lots of guys who've been on the Den, and I would say that almost 50% of people that I know who've been on the Den had no intention of taking any investment deals. Their end goal was being on Dragon's Den, as seen on Dragon's Den, as seen on the BBC. The big spike in internet searches that happen when you're actually on the TV, having that screenshot of you, staring down. And actually, they quite liked the idea of, I turned down Deborah Meaden's offer. Did I mention that Jason's met Deborah Meaden, by the way?
No, I don't think so.
I try to keep it quiet. She doesn't like me to talk about it too often.
One of our other customers actually was on Dragon's Den, and they got an offer which they turned down. So we made quite a lot of products for them, going to one of the big supermarkets as well. Up until fairly recently, up until about March, April this year, in fact.
What happened then?
So I'm not sure, something interrupted the supply chain or something or other. So but yeah, so that was it's a funny little journey we've had the last couple of years, really, when you take that into account.
Definitely. Let's talk Virgin Trains for a little bit, Steve, because that's a huge client to have, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and it's been. They've been a really good company to work with, and I have to say that what really impressed me was throughout the whole time we've worked with them, they're obviously no longer Virgin trains. It's Avanti trains of now. Avanti West Coast have taken over the West Coast franchise. And now we're working with Avanti. But Virgin had a definite unique, I think, sort of identity, if you like, as a business. But they really did walk the walk, in my experience, of working with SMEs. You hear a lot of big organisations saying they want to work with SMEs, but Virgin Trains definitely did, and Avanti are still carrying that forward from our experience, which is fantastic. Because it does open doors for other customers or other prospects for us when we sort of have that on our CV, that we supply them. And we have supplied them for about 6 years now as well, and our sales with them have grown each year. Again, up until about March this year, funnily enough. But that came out of the blue, actually, because they outsourced their supply chain management, if you like, or the operational side of it, to another to DHL it was actually at the time. So our initial contact was a phone call out of the blue with, sitting here where I am now, actually, and you can't see, but through my window is the North Wales train line that goes from Holyhead to Euston. And at the time, Virgin Trains tasked DHL with finding SME suppliers that were close to the railway stations and the railway lines, and their objective was to try and buy products off an SME for each of the areas that their trains passed through, which I thought was fantastic, obviously. And so this gentleman, this Scottish guy sort of from DHL says, "So are you close to the railway line?" And I says, put it this way, the 1317 from Holyhead has just gone past. I can see the train, so it's definitely close enough to see it. So it literally is that close, so we've passed the first part of that. But the thing that was interesting is they rang us about desserts, but we actually sent them something they didn't really ask us for, which was a little shortbread biscuit, but we indented the Virgin logo into the biscuit, or the V. And we just sent them that in as a by the way, and within about 2 weeks we were supplying that shortbread biscuit, and then all the other things there happened thereafter, kind of thing. So it's always worth. Now you're going to tell me, I know what you're going to say now. You're going to say, "Is that the best marketing you've ever done, and why haven't you done it ever since?" I just opened myself up to a really bad.
You have, but I mean, there's a real lesson there for any business owner listening to this, is actually doing the unexpected, and ultimately putting the potential client's logo or an icon into one of your products that they haven't asked for and they're not expecting, just creates that little bit of a wow factor. That if they are taking bids or tenders from 4, 5, 6 companies, you're top of the pile. It's yours to lose, isn't it?
It definitely worked out that way. And what happened after that actually was that we just went from strength to strength with them. So our business sales, our growth chart was very impressive for the next few years, but it was built largely around growing with Virgin Trains. So that then took us into a situation where we became very dependent on Virgin Trains because they were a really big percentage of our business. So, and that was kind of when I first met you guys earlier this year, is because we were looking at ways to actually mitigate that risk
That's right.
Because by that time we knew that the bidding process for the franchise had changed, and I think Virgin weren't allowed to bid, or got so far and then we're not on the bidding process. So we had this fantastic relationship with a really good customer that was buying lots of stuff from us, but we didn't know how long it was going to last, and that was what most of our turnover was dependent upon. So that's when I went in search of advice and help in order to try and find a way out of that, hopefully to keep that going. But we needed to add more. So we really needed to grow quite quickly and quite significantly in order to reduce them from being more than 50% of our business down to more like 20% of our business. So that's kind of what was so that's kind of where we were at the start of this year, really.
Yeah, I think
so your contract moved from Virgin to Avanti, so you actually won that, and you continue to supply it. So that thought that you might lose out and the rugby pulled underneath you, kind of thing, didn't actually materialise because you were taken on by Avanti.
Yeah.
And then March happened, I guess.
Exactly, yeah. And the other thing with Avanti as well is that there is, they are changing. Obviously, some of the changes that come through, I think they've got a 20-year contract or something like that. I think it's 20 or 30 years contract. So, so as you may expect, even without COVID, some of those changes to the supply chain are probably going to happen in the first, say, 2 years or whatever. Whereas as an SME supplying a big organisation like that with a fantastic name, as soon as we heard what had happened with the bid process, it's like, oh, crikey, is that our light's going to be turned off next month kind of thing. But it did actually give us a little bit of time to sort ourselves out, if you like. And that bidding process is actually going through right now, which is quite an interesting. So we're learning a bit more about, again, what it's like to work with organisations, a lot bigger than yourself, kind of thing. So, so we're sort of waiting to hear how that goes as well.
Yeah. It's a fine balancing act, isn't it? Between, hooray, we've got this fantastic client, huge order books, nice security for the next 12 months, 18 months, 5 years, whatever long your contract could be. And then at the back of your mind is, but if we lose that one, I've got to sack half my workforce. I can't afford the rent on this building anymore. Oh my God, what do we do? We're committed to overheads because we have this one large corporate client.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, right from the beginning, they did say, whatever you do, don't build your business around Virgin Trains, because we do like to change suppliers quite regularly.
Yeah.
And initially it was like a 6 month. In fact, it might have been less than 6 months, because basically, I suppose the business that we're in, because we supply a lot of food service, like pubs and coffee shops, that kind of thing, and travel, obviously. Their menus tend to only run for, if you've got a 6 month menu, you're doing really well. Most of it's 3 or 4 months. Often it's 3 months because of the seasonality of things.
Yeah.
So very often you've got 3 months. You do an awful lot of work to get onto the winter menu, and then you kind of start the work immediately, for the spring menu, and you kind of hope that you're going to win the next menu, kind of thing. So you're always on notice. But we just found working with them over that period of time, and it's still true today, that it's all about relationships, I think. So I suppose that's really, if you build a good relationship and you do what you say you're going to do, then that goes a long way to helping you to build that trust that you need, I suppose, to keep going. And then it is probably more yours to lose, but plenty of people do the losing, of course, so
they do.
It's not out of the question. But so I suppose you've still got, but what the challenge we had and we found really difficult is that we were spending so much time developing all these products for these menus that change every 3 months, that even though each subsequent menu we kind of got an extra line or an extra product or whatever, so we were getting the growth, but all of our effort was going into servicing our existing customers, and it was really difficult to find the time, if you like, to work on the other potential customers, So obviously, like I say, if that rug gets pulled from underneath you and you're in that situation, you're in trouble, And it happens a lot in the food business. You always hear of businesses going under because they've lost their Tesco contract or their Asda contract,
I like that. Obviously, Virgin Trains did that. I mean, well, two things. Number one, they said, look, having businesses that are located very close to the track is important to us. I love that, because as a customer, you wouldn't even consider that. But the fact that it matters to them, that they use suppliers that are local and have an affinity with the company or with the product, with the trains, is phenomenal. And to actually say to you, look, Steve, we're going to give you a huge contract here, but please don't bet the farm on us. I love that. They're really looking out for SMEs, aren't they?
They are, yeah. I really felt that was, and I felt that the whole time we worked with them, to be fair. So, you can't ask for any more than that. And I think it tends to be, when you hear of SMEs working with big companies, you often hear all of the bad stories when it's gone wrong.
Yeah.
I remember when we first started out 13 years ago, we used to do farmers markets every weekend, 52 weeks of the year, food festivals, farmers markets. And it's funny, somebody that I was in school with had the stall next to me selling, let me remember, I think it was Welsh rarebit in a jar. I think that's what it was. And it was quite nice. And they got a listing with Tesco's really early doors, took on some premises. Their listing, I'm not sure about the timing, but I know it's a minimum of 6 weeks. I think at the time that was what you got to prove your sales. I think it was longer than that, but at some point in that first 6 to 12 months, it didn't continue to happen for them, and they put everything into that, and I think they didn't survive that, unfortunately. So I'm sure they've gone on to do other brilliant things now. But that was quite an early lesson for me, and it kind of put me off trying to win contracts off the bigger companies. Because I didn't think we were big enough to actually pull it off, I suppose, or that they would be interested in us. But also, if you did win it, what were you letting yourself in for down the track? So. Yeah, but our experience with Virgin in particular was really positive. I've got a few other customers in the same sort of, that's gone the same way, but I suppose they are the biggest ones that we had at the time. So yeah.
So when we first spoke in February, you sent me a list of 3 goals. Do you remember this?
Yes. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. It was a long time ago now, though, 6 months ago, 8 months ago.
But those 3 goals, I've got them written down here.
Yeah. Okay.
So goal number 1 was to lose weight and get fit. Goal number 2, spend more time with my family.
Yeah.
And I'm quoting your words here, not mine. Spend more time with my family rather than at work being a busy fool.
Yeah.
Finally, take action at the Pudding Compartment to significantly improve profitability. Cool. What could go wrong?
Fantastic goals, isn't it?
Those in early 2020. What could go wrong?
Exactly. I think it's fair to say a lot of my employees have spent an awful lot of time with their family over the last few months. So
Yep.
If I rounded the goals to the team as a whole, I think we've done remarkably well, at least in that particular one. But yeah, that's it. When I first found out about ambitious lifestyle business, the first thing I really liked the word lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And as indicated by those targets, I guess I didn't feel like I had a fantastic lifestyle in the sense of I'd put an awful lot into the business, which I love, but there are other aspects of my life that were not getting any attention at all. So yeah, I still sort of stand by those goals as being things that I want to achieve. I think we have, despite what's happened this year, actually, we're well on. I feel like I'm well on the way to achieving a lot of those. So we're making improvements in each of those areas. So despite everything that's happened,
yeah, because yours was an interesting journey. Because I was say we chatted in February. There was obviously rumblings of things happening in February, but we talked as though we were going to carry on and it was going to be fairly normal. You then joined the 1% Club in March, and then almost immediately. Actually, you sent me some updated targets in March, and you got a bit more bullish once you joined the 1% Club, didn't you?
Yeah, it was going to be easy, wasn't it? All this extra help I was going to get. I didn't want to be too shy in putting forward some good goals.
Yeah. So I think we went from significantly improving profitability to unbelievably improved profitability.
We did. Yes. But I think part of being part of a group opens your mind to things that you might be able to achieve. I think sometimes we're not very good at. I don't think we're ambitious enough to use the word ambitious, because I think it's all too easy to say, if we get another 10%, or if we get 20% on what we did last year, wow, that'd be incredible. Wouldn't that be amazing? But actually, when you're in an SME situation, it is possible to do significantly more than that from a sales point of view. But we're talking profitability rather than sales, because the busy fool element if I had an interview or even one of my friends or whatever was asking me about how the business was going, I don't know if it's a British thing, but I wouldn't say, we made loads of cash last year, which wouldn't have been true anyway. But we tend to say, we're employing 25 people now. Yeah, on our turnover, that's gone up double. We've doubled our turnover in the last 3 years. So we're doing really well, and it's funny being based in Wales as well, because a lot of the support we get is Welsh government support, in terms of helping businesses. But the measure is how many people we employ. Mm. It's not, are we actually sustainable from a profit point of view so we can actually carry on employing those people for the next 20 years? It's more like, how fast can you load your wage bill up? And yeah, that's not necessarily a good thing when you're trying to become profitable or increase your profitability. Yeah, so it's interesting what you measure. And I know when we first started talking, what I really liked, I have read the books because we know you are a best-selling author after all, so and they are very good books, folks, by the way, so you should be reading them. So I'm rereading them for about the third time now. But I was trying to find a way of summarizing what I was trying to achieve. And then I think it was the bit when you talked about, will it make the boat go faster?
Yeah.
That really stuck with me about the British Olympic rowing team. I thought, okay, I need one sentence that can help me. So every time I make a decision, I can compare it to that goal in one sentence and see if I'm on the right track or not. And I think that was kind of when it clicked with me that I was kind of not necessarily measuring the right things or doing the right things in the earlier years of the business, if you like. Whereas, and that's probably the thing that I'm trying to change the most now. So I'm no longer just interested in sales. I'm actually quite interested in how much profit we're making at the same time, rather than just how many people we're employing and that kind of thing. They're all important measures, but obviously without the profit line, then the rest of it's going to sooner or later disappear anyway. And then on the personal front, obviously we have the personal aspect that we've talked about as well.
So what is your boat that you're making go faster then? What's the big overarching? Obviously, I know what it is, but I'm very keen for our listeners to hear. First of all, how it came about and why it matters to you.
Okay, so basically, like a lot of, I'm sure every business owner watching this or listening to this will have been in this situation at some point where they are busy fools. They may or may not realise it at the time, like myself, but you're putting an awful lot of effort into your business, and it really does take over your life. It can take over your life, to the detriment of other things, including your family, for that matter. So I was encouraged to sort of sit back and think, okay, what do we really want to do? And basically, I'd forgotten about a whole load of things that I really enjoyed doing when I had a bit of time. Yeah. And kind of, I thought, well, I'd actually quite like to do that again, because even though I haven't done it for 20 years, doesn't mean to say that I wouldn't like to do it again. So in my case, it was skiing. Snow skiing is my thing that I absolutely loved doing. And I haven't been skiing for about 12 years now. And I used to do an awful lot of it. And I actually met my wife when we both worked in a ski resort in France 25 years ago. I was reminded this week that that's when we met. So, but I hadn't done it for so long. And I want to teach my kids how to ski and that kind of thing. So, and the reasons for not going skiing were partly fitness and weight, partly not being prepared to take a week off work and go to a different country in case I was needed, or because obviously I'm invaluable, the business can't run without me, all that kind of thing. And then financially, to take a family of 4 skiing, it's not a trip to the weekend to Rill, down the road from where I am now. It's a little bit more pricey than that, so you need to have a bit of cash, a bit of time, and be fit enough and well enough to do it, I suppose. So my boat is actually a pair of skis, and it's I want to take my family skiing in 2021 was what I said, and that's what I'm working towards. Yeah. Even now, despite everything.
The key thing is the only thing that's going to stop you in going in 2021 is COVID, because you are going to be fit enough, you are going to be able to take a week off your business, and you are going to have the financial means to do so.
Exactly. Yeah. So I have booked the holiday. I have paid the substantial deposit. I probably went to the wrong company there, but I think it was the right company, because I paid 50% deposit, which is refundable if I don't, or we can transfer it to another holiday, I think. And I last night ordered some skis and boots for myself on eBay. I'm waiting for them to arrive. So I am committed, and it is going to happen, but you're right. If you don't take that decision, it ain't going to happen for sure. You've got to make the decision, and then you've got to follow through with the actions so that you can achieve what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, it is. I mean, for those who haven't heard the "Will it make the boat go faster" story, it is this principle that I think it was the men's eights used in the Sydney Olympics in 2000 to go from kind of perennial 6th or 7th place winners in every prior Olympics and every Commonwealth Games to becoming gold medal winners. For about 2 years, the entire team, all the coaching staff, everybody lived by this principle of, will it make the boat go faster? Will what I am doing today make that boat go faster in 2 years' time, in 18 months' time? These guys missed the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games because it wouldn't make their boat go faster being on their feet for 90 minutes in a stadium, being on a coach cramped for another 90 minutes traveling to and from there, being late to bed. They missed out on beers with friends 18 months before the Olympics because it wouldn't make their boat go faster. And Steve, you just turned it into, will it make the West family ski holiday happen?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's and it's a relative. It might seem a really simple thing because, but it's a really good question to ask. And it really does change the behaviour and change the decisions you're making if you've got a goal. But for a long time, I sort of had goals of growing the business and that kind of thing, but I hadn't really focused on any of the personal aspect of it. Whereas now, actually, it doesn't have to be exclusive. You can do things which are good for yourself and your family that actually will make your business a lot healthier at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm working on now. Yeah.
And what we were talking about kind of before we jumped on the call was how this links to all three of your goals. So the goals you set back in February, lose weight and get fit, spend more time with the family and become more profitable, they all link back to that same overarching North Star, call it what you like. It's a big goal that you can just, every single decision. Shall I go out for beers and a curry tonight? Well, will it get the West family on the slopes? Nah, probably not.
Exactly. Okay. I opened the fridge for the 100th time last night and was like, no, this is not going to help get this family on the ski slope. So close the door, get a glass of water, whatever it might be. So.
Have you got a photo of you on the slopes on your fridge?
Well, an old photo. You
can Photoshop it. A friend of mine, he had a goal. He wanted to go to Miami. He wanted to take his shirt off on Miami Beach, which required losing about 4 stone.
Right.
So he superimposed, I think it was Tom Selleck or whoever, topless on the beach at Miami with his face very crudely photoshopped on top, stuck it on the fridge, and that was his overarching goal, that's going to be me on Miami Beach.
If I do that, I might prevent myself from opening the fridge 100 times and not taking anything out of it. So that could be an efficiency drive as well. So I'll do that this evening.
It's worthwhile, but it's worthwhile having that image as a very clear picture of this is what I'm working towards. Because you're going to have days where you really, really do want a nice cheese sandwich, or you do want whatever your weakness food is, or even from a business point of view, you might, learning Google ads might be the way you can get the West family on the slopes quicker, but it's hard to learn something new. And maybe you don't feel like doing it, or maybe you don't feel like writing that email or sending that pitch, or maybe firing an employee and replacing them with someone who's a better employee. Well, that's hard things to do. But when you ask that question, will it get the West family on the slopes? And if the answer is yes, you do it. And if the answer is no, you don't, it's black and white, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's a really good point, because the other one of the other key points that I'd say I sort of picked up working with you guys over the last 6 or 8 months or so is, and this is another thing I do remind myself of every single day. It's like the difference between success and failure is often doing the things you really don't feel like doing, or the things you don't want to do, or that you avoid doing. And but they're the very things that are going to get you where you want to be. That's something that I've kind of realised fairly late on in the piece, but in the last few months especially, that and exactly what you're talking about, like the staff side of things in particular. So, and if you have got people, if you've got any aspect of your business is not performing in the way it should, then it's got to be dealt with. But it's so easy just to kind of put those difficult things off. Yeah. But that's the difference between scraping by and making enough money to go on ski holidays and other things, So thanks for that. That's something that
definitely it's something to remember.
Business, you need to learn.
Whilst you're sat in that office there, Steve, just remember, if you look out your window, the trainer is allowed to carry passengers, but we're not.
There aren't many on there at the moment, I'm afraid. But at least they're running.
Oh,
So,
definitely.
yeah. That's, so I think, we're always, you've got to learn. I suppose what we're talking about is learning as you're going along, but actually learning and changing what you do. It's a bit like reading a book and then taking no notice of it and just think, oh, that was a really good book. Obviously one thing that I've learned again this year is more about, well, at the end of reading a book, you've got to start to get any benefit from it, you've got to change something. Otherwise, you might have arguably wasted your time reading it in the first place.
I was going to say, reading a book is investing an awful lot of time, isn't it? And if you don't take something from that investment, it's a bit crazy. Yeah,
exactly. But I think it's so easy for people to do that, to immerse yourself in something. But then if you don't change anything, then don't become wise just by reading a load of books if you don't actually take any action afterwards.
That's the reason I put in Routine Machine. That one of the habits that I'd love people to do is to read the book and follow the instructions. Do something afterwards. People tell me that doing the book debrief is the one routine that makes all the difference, because whatever they're learning, they could be learning from a textbook, from an inspirational autobiography, from a how-to manual, whatever. But whatever they're learning, take that, write down what you remember, what you've just learned, and then actually implement it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. We talked before about the 4-pillar plan, which is what's helping me with my weight loss and fitness. But actually, a lot of the things that I've read recently have been about habit formation. And it's so powerful to do. I guess it's what comes down to doing something that you change that you do every single day is going to make even if it's something apparently really small, it does build up to make a huge difference. I think often we try and do something really big and it's not sustainable, and then go to the gym 5 times a week or something like that. I love Jason's 1 press up. I don't know if you're still doing your 1 press up, Jace, but
I'm still halfway there.
But my wife has quoted that back to me.
She
said, in a kind of context, because I shared that with her, and but obviously she used it. When I say, I really don't feel like walking the dog tonight, she says, well, can you walk for 1 minute maybe? Just go for a 1 minute walk. Then obviously you go out and half an hour later you come back feeling much better, kind of thing, So, but it's getting out the door that is often the hardest thing, or whatever it might be. So
it is just get the lead out. The dog will do the rest.
So,
Steve, I know we've heard a little bit about your ambition and your lifestyle and your business kind of thing. That's the thing. We put this together in the podcast. We also ask all of our guests, what does that ambitious lifestyle business look like for you? I've realised that the purpose of running a business and all of the effort that entails it's got to be to provide you with something other than I feel great because I've started a business. I can really sum it up in the goal that we talked about, because a lot of it is about freeing up time to do things you want to do and with the people that you want to do. And I think in summary, it's kind of like, I feel like I'm in a process now of making the business work for me rather than me working for the business. That pretty much is, everything else feeds from that, really. Don't be embarrassed if you make a profit, because that is kind of the objective of having a business. It's almost like, we have to make an excuse if we're making a profit. Well, actually, you should be proud of that, and don't be ashamed to make decisions that will improve your profitability or will free you up to have more time. And then on a personal perspective, obviously, it's your health and that kind of thing. So, but I think I just love the words. I love the fact that we can be ambitious and it can provide us with a lifestyle, and it is about running a business. They're just, you can go into all sorts of detail on everything, but that's really what it comes. Be ambitious, but don't lose your lifestyle. Gain your lifestyle. Because when you have really low moments and you think about getting a job, you think, oh my God, what would my life be like if I had a job? I really don't fancy that. Well, without the lifestyle, you only have a job, don't you? I guess so. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. So I think it's really, the name is on the tin. It does what it says. It's be ambitious, but get the lifestyle you want from it. You don't need to be the next. We've talked about Lord Sugar earlier on. You don't need to have goals to become the next Lord Sugar.
He never seems the happiest, does he?
He wasn't happy when he emailed me.
I was going to say thank you ever so much for joining us on this episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Podcast. It was brilliant to have you on here. You've been a fantastic 1%er, and it may have only been 6 months. There's been such a journey that you've kind of come on during that time with so many obstacles thrown at you, and we haven't even covered half of them. But absolutely brilliant to have you on board today.
Oh, thanks very much, and thanks for all you guys are doing to help us out.
Fantastic, mate. How can people get in touch with you and request free samples of cakes if they wanted to?
The best way to get hold of me is by email. It's the longest email in the world, but it's stevewest@thepuddingcompartment.co.uk. Not the pudding company, the pudding compartment. Or just go on the website and send us a message via the info app.
Fantastic. We all have a pudding compartment, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We all have a pudding compartment. Some people have beer compartments as well as pudding compartments. but not me at the moment.
John's only got a pudding compartment.
Not those who want to be on the ski slope in 2021.
Exactly.
Fantastic. I cannot wait to next year and seeing the photos of you and the family on the slope, Steve. Looking forward to it.
I promise you it's going to happen, and I will send you the photos.
Fantastic. All the best. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye.
So there we are, another episode in the can. How was it for you? Please let us know. However you listen to these podcasts, please leave a review on that platform. Let us know what we can do better, what you like, what you don't like, and how we can improve to make this show even better for you. We'll see you next time.